This is the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
Good evening and welcome inside the RebZone. Kevin Bollinger alongside TJ Otzelberger. We're inside the UNLV basketball offices today as the Runnin' Rebels had the week off from games, not the week off from practices, though. What did you guys focus on this week on the court?
You know, I thought for us getting back to the practice court, working on our fundamentals and principles defensively is really important. We talked a lot about our team. If we can be great defensively, really guard the basketball, limit our opponents to one shot, that'll allow our team to be really successful. So fundamental defense was a big part of the week. Ball movement and ball security on offense, just toughness with the basketball, taking care of the ball, making sure our guys realize that value in every possession is so important. Those are some things that you talk about, but when you have game after game after game, maybe that message doesn't get through as much. When you're on the court every day like we were this week in practice, you can teach all those moments.
A week off gives a physical break, but I think it also gives a mental break to a certain extent from that grind. How important is that part of it?
It's really important, and our guys too just are finishing their final exams and getting through that week is a big part of it, and then just having that time to really reflect on we're a third of the way through the season. You know, what's happened, what have we learned about our team, what's helped us develop our identity. I think in a college basketball season there's really 3 seasons. There's like the beginning, the middle, and the end, and so the beginning helps you learn and tell the story. The middle, you're evolving and you're developing, and then you hope that last third you really start to hit stride. And I think having that time off to reflect, having that practice time has really allowed our guys that opportunity.
What have you learned about this team in the first third of the season so far?
You know, I think that we've learned that we can play with anybody when we're at our best. We've had some really tough losses. I mean, 3 overtime losses, a few others that came down the last couple possessions, and then we won the one at Fresno. So I think we've learned that we've proven to ourselves we can win a game, one of those tight games. We've also, shown, like I said earlier, we can play with teams, but we've got to be so intentional about the details, especially late in games, executing, getting stops, finishing plays on the glass, diving for loose balls. All those things go into winning those games. And I think we've learned that we've got some guys that can step up. Now we need that consistency each night out.
I know when we talked after the BYU game in Salt Lake City, you had some concern with the effort in that game from your team. That's something that comes from up here and the want to do that. Do you think that having this week off kind of gets that recharge so you don't go into that situation where maybe you don't see that again this season?
I think so, because look, our first 10 games, I don't think effort was ever in question. I think there's certainly turnovers we'd like to have back, certainly execution that didn't go our way, possessions that weren't perfect, but effort was never in question. That was the first time I really thought that was a factor. I think it could be the culmination of a lot of games in a short period of time. Definitely no excuses, and we'll never have any. And I think, but this has given our guys a chance to reflect, to take a deep breath, to understand, to learn, to understand why, and hopefully for us to be a better ball club moving forward.
For the next few weeks, with finals being over, the focus really can be on basketball here without any studies on the outside here until the second semester starts. How, as a coach, do you focus on that, because you're getting ready to go into conference and you can really overload them here, at least with some of the stuff that you want to do on paper moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's that balance. I think having that practice time and knowing that, players want to continue to get better. So it's both the practice time, what we need to do as a team, but then also the time individually that we spend with our guys and their development and their passing and catching and footwork and all those things that are important. So we want to make sure that we take the time to do both of those. At the same time, it is a long season. You don't want to burn your guys out. So you want to keep them getting better as a group, keep them getting better individually, spend the time doing that, but also make sure it's that balance so that you're not wearing them out either.
So we know Elijah Mitralong is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks with the broken left thumb. Jonah Antonio is the one that there was some talk that he may be able to get back here the latter part of December. As we get ready to go back into playing games this week, where is Jonah Antonio, and can we see him on the court this week?
Yeah, we're hopeful that we can. He wasn't able to practice at all this week yet. We're still waiting, him being cleared to come back, but we're hopeful that he can play against Pacific, and if not Pacific, against Robert Morris. But we think that return could be coming here soon. And So hopefully we'll see what the doctor says and how Jonah adjusts too, because part of it's once you kind of get that cast off, how does it feel, and getting back into your rhythm, and all those things are part of it, but we're hopeful it's not too much longer.
Because you have so few guards right now, it is important that not only that he gets back, but he kind of gets into his rhythm before the 1st of January comes and conference season starts again.
Yeah, it is. I mean, right now, with the exception of Amari Hardy and Bryce Hamilton, having Eli out, Marvin Coleman's our other guard. So really we have 3 perimeter players. Not that we can't slide Donnie Tillman over a little bit, maybe somewhat out of position, but like, yeah, we need the bodies. We need Jonah back. It's not only what he brings to our team in terms of his energy, shooting ability, rebounding the basketball, but just having that another body out there to give guys a break is important.
So let's start looking at the games this week. Back in action on Wednesday, Thomas and Mack against Pacific. Damon Stoudemire's done a really good job at building that program back up. They've also played a very tough schedule. They've been in a lot of games this year. It's a good squad.
Yeah, they have. I mean, they've gotten off to a great start to the season. 9-3 going into their game today with Northridge, and so just wasn't sure how that game turned out here. Sunday's usually family day for me, so I'm not as in tune, but definitely get the film, watch it tonight, and get ready in our preparation. But they've done a great job. They're deep. They're a team they're an older group. They've got some grad transfers and some seniors. They're a very physical, a team that kind of grinds you out, and we've got to make sure that we're up for that challenge.
When you have a grinded out type of team with the style of play that you've been forced to play this year, it really maybe plays in more than a BYU type of style for you guys.
It does. I think right now, just with our numbers, our offensive strengths and capabilities, I think for us it's going to be a little choppier than might like it to be in the long term. There's going to be times that we need to take more time in possessions to really be intentional, get the ball into the paint, whether it's to the post or to one of our bigger guards driving to the basket. And so I think that style of play is probably more conducive to our team being successful. I mean, we saw that at Fresno. 2 teams that were trying to really employ a similar style were able to come out with the win there, so needs to have a similar feel to it against Pacific on Wednesday.
And then on Saturday, Robert Morris comes to town. This is a team that plays a lot of road games in the non-conference and has some struggles, but this is a team that will get up and down a little bit. This might be one where we see a little more running.
Yeah, they've been a team that's been in the NCAA tournament in recent memory a few times, and went on the road to Florida Gulf Coast, got a quality road win down there, and they're a team that does. They play a 4-guard lineup a lot of the time, faster pace, they'll shoot a lot of threes, get up and down the court, probably most similar to like Fort Wayne that we played to start the year, so definitely a contrast of styles. We need to be at our best on both nights, because right now we come back to Thomas and Mack, and that sense of pride that we played for in front of our fans and in our home arena has got to really be at a high level.
That's an afternoon game, an earlier tip than basketball. Players sometimes get into that creature of habit of having those late games. Are there any concerns with early tips? Things didn't go well with the early tip in Salt Lake City. Players get out of their rhythm. Any concern at all with earlier tips compared to, say, a 7 or 7:30 start?
I don't think so. We practice early every day. We get our guys up early, and they've got to be in our building by 6:30 a.m. And whether it's breakfast or getting their ankles taped, they're starting to get prepared for practice. So I think our guys are used to that. I think they're used to getting things done. So I actually kind of like the earlier games because you're not spending all day waiting around for it in anticipation. So I think our guys should be just fine.
All right, we're going to take our first break here in the Reb Zone. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about community service as the Rebels gave back this past week. Stay with us.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
This past Monday, a lot of Rebel student athletes went to Sunrise Children's Hospital to give a little back, and it was as rewarding for them as it was the kids that they visited.
Inside a small room at Sunrise Children's Hospital, UNLV student athletes gathered together to sign balls and posters. They were about to embark on a goodwill mission. The target? Kids who were spending this holiday season in a place no one wants to be.
We have a really strong community that, a lot of people that care about their people, care about Vegas as a whole, and, it really shows that when we all come together, stick together, we're able to come and do stuff like this and, just give a little more hope for those kids and the families as well.
Room by room, the Rebel contingent walked in to brighten a day. Once inside, a place that can be dark and depressing lit up, as did the children's faces. It was a brief respite from the pain and sadness, a smile and a moment to briefly forget where they were and why, a chance to be a kid.
Our girls have finals this week, and I had 4 of them say, I want to come, I want to visit the kids in the children's hospital and see if I can put a smile on their face, and I just think that's really special.
This is the 11th year local radio host Ken Thompson has organized this event.
We take it for granted that every single day we're out right now Christmas shopping and hustling and bustling, but there's a lot of families that are wondering whether or not their kids are going to make it home for the holidays or how those holidays are going to be spent. So we figure, you know what, if we can give back a little bit each year, tie the community together, Sunrise Children's Hospital, UNLV, and SportsX Radio, it's what it's all about.
While a lot of the kids didn't want cameras in the room, you could hear the laughter from both them and the UNLV players, who say they got just as much out of the experience.
It's more than basketball, and I really appreciate that.
It's really important, you always want to give back, and this is a really great way to do it. I'm sure, I hope it made their day. It made my day, doing it, so it was a really good experience.
Just coming in, bringing joy to them, giving them something to be happy about. I know sometimes this is hard, being in a hospital and stuff, so coming out here, just giving them the joy they need and, just telling them, we appreciate them for, fighting and hanging in there and just staying strong.
Every once in a while, we all need a little hope. Sometimes a simple gesture can go a long ways, especially for a child facing a tough time. A ball and a poster is one thing, but time is something else. The reward is the smile, making this the best play these student athletes will make all year.
So we saw Nick Blair in that piece, and being involved in the community right from the get-go when you got here to Las Vegas, you said, we are going to be a program that's going to be out in the community. Why is that so important to you?
Well, I think for me, this is much bigger than being a basketball coach. It's being able to impact lives. It's the ability to tie people together in a community. There's a lot of things in the world that pull people apart. I think through athletics, we're fortunate to have that be a vehicle where we can bring people together and share in a common good. I know for the young men in our program, when we recruit them, we talk about their ability to impact lives, especially whether it's kids and being role models and mentors to them. It's one really important thing, or just being people of character in our community and showing people what a great example we can be in building those connections. That's really important to me as the leader of this program, that we do a great job with it, and I know our guys take a lot of pride and interest in doing it as well.
And I know it sounds cliche to say, but you're not just getting basketball players, you're molding them into men that are going to be out in the society and into their communities, whether it's here in Las Vegas or elsewhere. So that's something that they carry on with them once they leave UNLV.
Definitely, and I think for me, when we got here and doing the coaches caravan and being, for 30 days, we're out 3, 4, 5 stops every day. I wanted to lead by example and show the young men in our program that how important it is. When you live in this community, you want things to be great. You want people to have those family values, the work ethic, all those things that make a community great. And I think it's important that our guys learn those life lessons.
I know when people move to Las Vegas, they're surprised at how tight-knit and close this community is, that it's so much more beyond the strip. When people move here, they're like, wow, this is a really big group of people that care about one another. Have you been surprised at that, and what has been your impression of Las Vegas from that standpoint so far?
It's really much more of a big, small town, because so many people have been here for a while, and as they've moved here, they've built these family relationships and the sense of community and the various neighborhoods and things. You can tell how tight-knit it is. Everybody kind of knows everybody. And so it's neat to be able to go out when I'm with my family or with my wife and you see people and you build those relationships. And it really is a great family setting and a great place to be in terms of people supporting each other. It's felt like home since day one, and we're very fortunate and grateful.
Well, we're going to take another time out. We'll be back with more RebZone right after this.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by RC Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
Welcome back inside the RebZone. We're joined now by new UNLV head football coach Marcus Arroyo. Welcome to Las Vegas, Coach.
Thank you. Excited
What
to be here.
was it that about this job that attracted you to make the jump and do it here?
Well, I think timing's critical in regards to looking at a place where you can have success in our profession. I think that the unique excitement about sports in this town, the leadership, the Fertitta Complex, Allegiant Stadium, all those things really blend together to give you a chance to have a recipe for success. And I think that's here. And as soon as I saw that come to fruition, it was something I knew I wanted.
You know, also studying this program, that there have been some struggles in the win-loss column over the last couple of decades. What makes you confident, besides the facilities, that this team can now make the jump to be a consistent bowl contender team and a team that contend in the Mountain West?
Well, I believe if you put forth, the right plan for the guys to develop, both on and off the field, and you put the right leadership in front of them, with the plan that we've got, I think that with the opportunity that's now presented, both with the facilities and the timing of the community, we'll have every opportunity to be successful.
You have to get a staff together very quickly. How quickly do you anticipate getting that group of guys together?
I don't have a timeline for that exactly. I think you'd be wrong if I think I'd be wrong if I said there's an exact timeline for that. I know quickly is important, but it's got to be quality leaders, and it's starting with the staff who's currently here. I'm excited to meet them and see them as men and leaders and what they can bring to the table, and then obviously move forward with that and build the staff. That is a priority.
We have an early signing period coming up on Wednesday. At this point, you talked about re-recruiting the players who are here, but there's also a group of recruits that the former staff had gotten commitments from. Yeah. Over the next few days, how do you approach that to find out who you want to let go to be re-recruited by other schools and who you want to keep?
Full speed. Our recruiting process is going to be 1,000 miles an hour. We're aggressive in that regard as far as evaluating talent and talent acquisition, and understand what we need to do. Obviously, we have not a full show of a full army yet for me to kind of wrap my arms around, but we're going to be on top of that immediately. That's the lifeblood of our program. So starting with the guys we've got in the building, and then moving forward to the guys we've got on the list of commitments and guys who are interested, and we'll be full speed ahead.
Offense is your background. You were a quarterback in high school, and you've coached different position groups on the offensive side of the ball around the country. What do you envision bringing to UNLV for fans that they're going to see from your offensive teams?
Well, I think just our brand of football that we've played with most recently is an aggressive, tough, running, play action, tempo football team that's explosive and can do not just a one-trick pony type deal. I think it's multiple, it's fast, it's quarterback driven, it's fun. I think the players that are going to want to be able to want to play it and can play it that are currently here are going to be excited about it.
As you've gone through your career, and obviously you envision being a head coach someday, has this whole process played out like you thought it was going to be, or has it been something different?
I think that it's pretty surreal. I mean, I'm humbled by it, honestly. You spend most of your career if you're interested in being a head coach, you paid attention to the guys who were ahead of you and mentored you and see exactly kind of how they did things and ask a lot of questions. And I think when this opportunity presented itself, it was very surreal and humbling, and I think that we were prepared, and it feels like a great opportunity.
Wrapping up, you do have a Rose Bowl coming up with Oregon, and you're going to be coaching in that. It's important to finish up what you started there in Oregon, I would assume.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome opportunity for the process we started there with those guys and those men that I'm allowed to be part of, and I think it's just going to be a great opportunity.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here as a Rebel. That's Marcus Arroyo, the new head football coach at UNLV. We'll be back to wrap up the RebZone right after this.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by RC Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
All right, Coach, so this is kind of the beginning of the grind. From here on out, it is games every week, and things start to kind of build up towards conference and then the conference tournament. It's go time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think for us, we've learned a lot about our group. We know what we need to do to be successful as a team. Now it comes out to those habits every day. I think so many times in games, guys want to step up and make big plays, but you play to level your habits. So we've got to make sure that our habits are at the level to win how we want to win.
All right, Coach, have a good week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next Sunday in the Reb Zone. We hope to see you as well. Thanks for joining us for this one. We leave you with the Runnin' Rebel Plays of the Year so far. Good night.
The RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by RC Willey and Levitt Law Firm.